Why, hello everybody, Spencer here, also known as LegoDude11, and in today's video, this is a brand new review for you out on the channel. But before I get started, I gotta ask you guys a very important question, and that question is, do you want to taste it? Because today's video is my Peacemaker Season 1 spoiler review. So, without further ado, let's discuss. Alright, so, without further ado, I do have my list of notes here, as I have taken down for the Season 1 of Peacemaker. And, my goodness, I have a lot to talk about. I just can't believe everything that they have done with this show in particular. It is, like, ridiculously off the charts. So, my first thing I wrote down is, if you guys don't know, with my reviews that I've always done since the beginning of 2021. I've done like 17 reviews that were kind of bizarre, but when I started my channel. But in 2021, I did revive my reviews, and I always like to talk about the soundtrack and the score of TV shows and movies that I do review here for you guys. So this show has probably one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard in a TV show. Now, I don't like to diminish other TV, like Cobra Kai, other TV shows like Cobra Kai, or Doctor Who, or Rick and Morty. Like, my favorite shows that I do watch have great soundtracks themselves. But this, first of all, this is a James Gunn directed show, which I will get into the directing here in a little bit later of the video. But what I love about the movie The Suicide Squad that came out last year, also directed by James Gunn, is that John Murphy did the soundtrack for that and this as well, but James Gunn brings a huge variety and just like deep cut songs. And for instance, the opening intro credits, like, I didn't even expect what the intro was going to be, and then when it just boom plays after the first cold open, I'm hooked. I think everybody was hooked, and just these dance motions. I kept imagining making a Instagram video about it, but almost like I thought almost everybody was gonna have like a TikTok video of it. But the "Do You Want to Taste It" song and the Monster song, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in episode 4, or it may have been 6. I think it was 6, when all the butterflies become like, inhabit all the police officers and all the inmates at the prison. There's a song called Monster by Reckless Love, and I have listened to it non-stop since that episode came out. It's probably my favorite song of the show, besides Do You Want to Taste It. Like, those two songs, just, I keep listening to them non-stop. They are great. They are a little bit weird. Well, I guess Do You Want to Taste It's not, but I mean, it's hard metal, so it's a little bit weird if that's not your taste in music. But for this show and for everything that James Gunn brings, it's definitely his style. So I love the score, and I can definitely see James Gunn's style with all the music he brings. But there's also just really great behind, like, tracks, recurring tracks with like the action scenes and sentimental, like, emotional pieces that they do. John Murphy's great, by the way. The person who did The Suicide Squad. So, moving on from there, I just am in awe of what they bring to the music. So, the episodes themselves, I'll say this much. I am not going to straight up give you a favorite episode. I think, I don't know, the finale was just a big, huge payoff and satisfaction. Episode 6 was great. The first 3 episodes were great. Like, launching them all 3 at the first week was a great idea, and I feel like that was a great idea to just launch all 3. I mean, they could have done 2 episodes, but 3, all of them were funny, all the episodes were funny, but I feel like 4, or maybe it may have been 5, was like one of the emotional episodes. I think it was 5 was the emotional episode, and that was something great as well. Just all of them had like this huge, by the way, each episode, I want to say this too, what this show does so well, and I'll get into like why I like this show so much in the later part of the video, but each episode felt like a self-contained story. And that's one of the things I like about this show. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, but shows that have a self-contained story narrative in it, when you start the episode and finish it, it's like you watch one whole chapter. And then when you get to the next episode, like there's like a kind of a cliffhanger, but it ends with the whole story, so you know what happened in that episode. Like you can tell, okay, there was a beginning, middle, and end. And then when you get to the next episode, you're going to find out the overall arcing story of the season, but continuing that same thing that just ended in the previous episode. So that's something that really is incredible, and a great attention to detail about this show and season in particular. But I want to move on from that, about the episodes, because I loved all of what the episodes brought, and I'll kind of talk about this moving on. But the directing and the writing. Now, I don't know specifically who directed each episode. Like, that wasn't my main focus. I do pay attention in Disney's sort of content, like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. The sort of like, because Loki had different writers for each episode, I believe. WandaVision kind of had some different writers here and there. But anyway, I believe is what I was saying before I paused the video, is that I don't particularly know with each episode who it was that wrote each particular screenplay or the writing for each episode. But this show was directed, all directed by James Gunn. And he brought the best to this show. I am a huge fan. I'm wearing my Flash shirt because it's DC related. I love the Suicide Squad movie that came out last year. It didn't get as much, received as much as it should have been. I can't remember if it was only released on HBO Max or if it did get released in theaters, but regardless, I am a huge fan of it. More people need to watch the movie, I think. I think not a lot of people watched it, but for the fan base that it got, it definitely was. I thought it was received well. I mean, it got a good rating, but it needed to be received more. But this show, by the end of the Suicide Squad, I was in love with all the characters. Peacemaker was one I think that most people disliked. I didn't mind him. He had a good arc. So I was intrigued. I wasn't going to say I was hyped about this series at all. I heard, when the Suicide Squad movie ended, I was like, okay, that's interesting. They're leaving it so that they can tell his story. I knew that they were going to make this show. But I didn't know what the potential was. I didn't know what was going to happen in the show. And then when the trailers came out, I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to watch it. I don't know what to think about it. I just really didn't know, right? I didn't know what the vibe was. And then when the show started, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe how much I was laughing, which I'll get to later. Oh my gosh, James Gunn directs so well. And I don't want to compare, I don't want to diminish this show in any way, but I have to compare this to the show that was just previously streaming, the most recent streaming show that was on Disney Plus called The Book of Boba Fett, which I did review that. I did review that last week. If you want to watch that, click the card up there. But now, they're two totally different shows, but take this with what you will. We got Boba Fett in Season 2 of Mandalorian, and he was, wrecking fools. And all of a sudden, we just get this very lazy, I think, directed show. With this, it has nice pacing. It feels like each character has a satisfying arc. And that's what I want to get to, because the characters of this show, everybody delivered on their acting. And I feel like they played the characters so well with who they were playing. We saw some of them, I think we saw all of them, but one. We didn't see Adebayo in the Suicide Squad movie. But we saw Harcourt, we saw Diebeard, also known as Economist. We saw John Cena, obviously Peacemaker before, and we saw a brief cameo of Viola Davis's Amanda Waller in this show. But all the characters just deliver their all. And, each of them has a satisfying arc and emotional payoff by the finale. Just, everyone does, I can't believe how James Gunn does. And I feel like that's also, if you look back at the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, he does that with those characters too. You know, Chris Pratt has a great role. Dave Bautista, who plays Drax, you know, he even mentioned before the Guardians movies, he said, I don't know how to act. But then James Gunn takes this guy and makes him this character that has this huge arc throughout Avengers Endgame. And just makes it so impactful to these movies. Like, he's hilarious. He's also emotional, Drax, sometimes. Like, he has been sad. And you feel that with this show, like, it's this group of characters who just comes together. This show is called Peacemaker, right? You think it's about this one guy. But then at the end of the day, it's all these characters coming together, forming this group as a family, and they don't realize that. It's kind of like the Suicide Squad as well, but it's this spin-off of the Suicide Squad, and it's so great. Yeah, just the cast brings it all. And by the way, I'm moving on now. I'm doing a segue into my humor side of things. And I laughed at almost every moment, besides the emotional ones. I couldn't believe all the humor was satisfying. And this whole show was satisfying, but there's moments in shows when humor is not done right. But in this show, everything is right. Now, I have to mention right now, I forgot this. I didn't forget, but if you guys don't know, that this is a mature show. So if you're not able to watch this, if you're not in the age range, or if you're curious about watching it, ask your parents first, get permission. I don't know why you would be doing wrong things. But anyway, the humor, besides that, if you can watch it, if you need permission, just ask. But the humor is on point, and I loved it. I laughed at every moment. Probably, I'm trying to think of like one I can mention right now. I don't know. I'll do this one. Just in the finale, this is a good one because it's not really inappropriate. Trying to think of one that's not inappropriate for you guys, does it? So, in the finale, there's a joke where, well, Vigilante is just a funny character. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Vigilante right now. Him and Peacemaker, the vibe is hilarious. Okay, there's like different moments, like with the joke about ants, the joke about sarcasm. There's just so many things that I love about the humor, and even the joke on the when they're floating through the pictures. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go watch the series. It's better if you watch the series. They're doing a slideshow of pictures on WhatsApp, and one of them is something that you should not be seeing, and I laughed hysterically at it, and it just was like a 30-second clip of them reacting to this moment, and I laughed my butt off almost at every moment that humor happened. And yeah, it was great, but I couldn't believe the humor was just amazing. There was great action as well with everything. I don't know how to talk about the action. I mean, each episode had like a fight sequence that was self-contained, and I didn't feel like it was just like boom, 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 action nonstop. Like they had, like, what I said about the directing, what James Gunn does so well, is he takes every moment and knits it like perfectly into place. It's not like we need action throughout the whole series. No, he has emotional build-up. He has character moments. This is a character study. This is a great character study with a group of people coming together as a family. He has that, which is so well done. He has fighting sequences, which are done at the right moments, and it picks up the pace. It's not too fast and it's not too slow. It just goes at a pace that's nice for you. Now, if it's too fast, I mean, that's just your opinion. But I feel like he directs so well. It's not just like boom, 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 boom. It's at the speed that the show needs to go, and I feel like I just love that about this show. I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier went way too fast, and I'm comparing it to another Disney show, but I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier didn't make any sense at all, and I feel like this show has all the payoffs it needed, and it pays off everything with, certain jokes or certain character arcs, or even just the story arcs in general. It pays it all off. I didn't write this down, but I don't know why I didn't write it down at all, but the characters, more specifically the villains, like the butterflies and White Dragon. Oh my lord. Can we talk about White Dragon first? He is, oh my god, a communist at heart. He is such a, oh my god, he's evil. He has all these wrong views. If you've watched this show, you guys know what I'm talking about, but he is just a white supremacist, and he's not a good guy at all. And you want him, you're not rooting for him, but at the end, when Peacemaker kills his own father, you just see the ghost at the end, and it's like, oh, this is gonna lead into some crazy like head trauma for Peacemaker, Chris, if you don't know his real name. But he's gonna deal with some mental problems going into season 2 with him. I mean, all his past self-life, his past life with killing his brother and then his dad, it was so emotional. I don't think I cried as much when Peacemaker's dad died. The fight was awesome though, with White Dragon suiting up. His White Dragon armor looks sick. But then by the end, when you just see him sitting on the porch steps by his trailer, that song was playing and I was crying because, I'm getting ahead of myself with the finale, but I just love that ending scene. I got a little teary. I'm just like, oh no, where's this gonna go? And everything ended. But the action was great. The villains, the butterflies were kind of creepy. I don't think they're creepy, but like the way that it kind of was like a vibe of Slither. James Gunn's first movie was Slither, and then his second movie was Super, which I just watched like a couple weeks ago, and I kind of saw the parallels in it, how violent this was, how this kind of paralleled to another alien invasion, which was Slither, his first movie. If you have not seen Slither, I kind of recommend it to you. If you haven't seen Super either, watch it. It's very violent. It's hardcore. It has Rainn Wilson, who was in The Office. It has Ellen Page. It has Kevin Bacon. It has Michael Rooker from Guardians of the Galaxy. It has Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother, in it. It has a kind of a unique cast, but it's also very hardcore, very violent, very vulgar. But by the way, I haven't seen Slither throughout. I just watched the clips on YouTube, but it's a very also kind of a vulgar movie. It's more of like an alien invasion, amped up to 100. So I don't know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I kind of like these horror type things. Now again, Peacemaker's not very horror-esque, but it does have an alien invasion in it, kind of like the Suicide Squad. So anyway, kind of a rabbit trail, but I just want to mention something else James Gunn related to you. But yes, the butterflies were amazing. They were just a great character study, like evil threat, a new alien invasion. Like, it wasn't Starro, but it was like this big butterfly. Like, what's the butterflies? And then take over their bodies, take over the people's bodies, and then by the end of the series, with the finale, they find this big cow, the main food source that they have to feed, like the queen. And it's like, Diebeard also references, it's not a kaiju, or another kaiju, which was kind of funny as well. And then they have to take down the cow and all the other butterflies. And something I do want to mention, though, I want to mention the references. There was something else in the humor that I thought was funny. At each moment, at each ending of the episode, it felt like improv, but I don't know if it was improv or not. I think it was. Where each episode ended like with the end credit scene. And it was kind of like an sketch of like something. They took something from the episode and extended a scene, so it was like an extra improv scene where it's just like you're laughing at it. Like Peacemaker was talking about who he should have put in jail, like different celebrities, like the Sesame Street, the Beatles, Adele, and all these different celebrities. And it was like Bruce Willis or something. It was just hilarious. And I'm like, what? I laughed at all these scenes, like the end credits, the improv scene. So I don't know, it was worth the treat at the end there. That was worth every moment I laughed. Before I get to the finale, I do want to mention the references. So there were some references in here. Well, They were just, I'm sorry, I took a brief pause here. I was trying to remember like what they specifically were. Now, if you were watching this video right now and there's something I missed, please feel free to drop it in the comments below. I know there may be a handful of people that do watch my channel that are watching this video that go, I haven't seen Peacemaker because that's not for me. I understand, I get it. But there was one huge reference throughout this series that I caught my attention. I wrote down references plural, and I'm making this video right now. I always make these reviews. I want to spit this out here. I just want to say this. I make these reviews, and sometimes I take my notes, and it's like, after I make the review, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot to talk about that. But in this series, there's a long-running joke. Oh, there was, I love the, oh no, that was it. He caught me, I almost forgot. My two favorite references in this series, there may have been more, but my two favorite, I love these a lot, were the mentions of Kite Man, that Peacemaker was like, this is how I took down Kite Man. And then Batmite. They talked about Batmite. I actually have a Batmite figure right up there. There he is in my display case. I know you can't see him, but he's up there. Batmite is a dimensional character, like a young character of Batman. He dresses up like Batman in a light blue costume and goes around calling himself Batmite, but he can travel between dimensions in the DC universe. So I thought that was a cool reference to an in-dimensional imp. I thought that was a great reference that Economos made. But I also love that. So yeah, those were the two references that I liked. And then the Peacemaker also talked about seeing the Flash and how he's a D-bag, whatever. And that Wonder Woman, he saw Wonder Woman before. So yeah, and in the first episode, they make a reference to Aquaman. And then throughout the series, they keep talking about superhero backstories that aren't really true. And in the finale, they talk about Green Arrow's backstory that Economos says, okay, that was the first thing he said that was real. And then at the end of the finale, we get a huge, satisfying payoff because Adebayo, Amanda Waller's daughter, is calling her on the phone and saying, why don't you just call up the Justice League to take out the butterflies? And then you see at the end, four of the Justice League members. You get Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Aquaman. And it's supposed to be Henry Cavill's Superman there, but you only see two of the actors, which are Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller's Flash. And which I'm not a huge fan. I like Ezra Miller as the Flash, but I'm not a huge fan of him in general as an actor. I don't know what's happening with him. But that was a great, satisfying payoff to a long-running joke over the entire season. And it was great. And then just seeing is like, go back to the fish. And he's like, you know to go back to the fish. And then he's like, I hate that rumor. And the bear's like, it's not a rumor. Oh my gosh. Just the whole thing was a great, satisfying payoff with the Justice League. But I love that. And the finale, it's kind of difficult to talk about the finale because there's so many things. The fighting of the butterflies was a amazing fight sequence. This was just a great show, and I love the way that they took down the butterflies, taking down the cow. By the way, I have to mention another great character, Eagly. Eagly was voiced by Perry the Platypus, also known as the voice actor who does the clones in the Clone Wars. D. Bradley Baker is a great guy, and he just did all the screeching and the bird noises. Eagly was a great character because he's not a real bald eagle, but it almost does look like a real bald eagle. But man, everything in this finale was satisfying. Judo Master was a great character as well. He was kind of funny to see in certain fight scenes here and there. Almost missed that, but I love the fighting of that. The whole payoff of the finale was great. Just the whole plan, how they took down the butterflies, was satisfying. By the way, this is not a political show, but when the butterflies were revealing that why they were really there, it's kind of political, but at the end of the day, it was just kind of their reasoning that they were there, trying to tell Peacemaker that. But then they got killed off, and they killed the cow with human torpedo helmet. That was hilarious. I laughed my head off when that happened, and the cow's gone. It was a kind of a cute-looking cow, almost kind of disgusting in some ways, but... And then at the end, when everything was gone, Adebayo revealed that they were working for Task Force X, and that her mother was Amanda Waller, so all has been revealed. And in the end, you saw that Peacemaker was feeding Goff, so he kept the butterfly named Goff, and then the dad, the ghost of Peacemaker's dad, just sat down next to him on the porch, and Eagly dropped a little animal next to it, or dropped a little, I think it was like a weasel or something, squirrel maybe, and then you see Eagly at the camera, and that's how it ends. And I got teary-eyed when the song was playing at the end there. I got teary-eyed. I'll admit it. I got teary-eyed when Peacemaker was remembering his past. I got teary-eyed, and especially when he was playing the piano, when he was playing Home Sweet Home. That was kind of sad as well. I got teary-eyed at the end when the song was ending, when the show was ending. But then when they had that final end sequence with him talking about sarcasm, I laughed my head off, and then the series was over. So, yeah, that's everything about this show, all my notes. But then, my final thing is why I love this show. So, why I love this show so much is I kind of mentioned it earlier, but as I kind of said, what James Gunn does so well is directing and making every sequence feel like you're into it, like there's a payoff, like there's satisfaction, like you get everything out of this show. Like if there's something that's happening, something is resolved. Okay, I feel like watching the Book of Boba Fett, I needed more. And this series was 8 episodes long. The Book of Boba Fett was 7. Now, you can do anything. I'm a fan of the show Hawkeye. I know that there's people out there that are like, oh, the Hawkeye was not a good show at all. I don't know the reasoning. I haven't personally talked to those people, but I know I've seen people say the Hawkeye series wasn't very good. I can understand their reason, or their point, but I'm a fan of the show. I like Hawkeye. I'm not a fan of What If. I'm not a fan of Falcon Winter Soldier. Some people are a huge fan of Falcon Winter Soldier, but those shows didn't connect for me, like What If and Falcon Winter Soldier. This show, also like the Book of Boba Fett, needed more things resolved. They needed a more big payoff. Like this show, James Gunn does, and the writing, the same writers did The Mandalorian, which I love that show. But this was great in every way. The music, the directing, the writing, the acting, the casting, the humor, the action, everything. Even the references, the Justice League payoff was something they had talked about in episode 1. And then they referenced it again and again and again, and they paid it off by showing the Justice League. Well, 2 of the actors, and then 2 of them were silhouettes, but everything felt right about this series. Now, I might be biased, but I think lots of people can agree on this. Let me know what you think in the comments below, but I am so pumped for Season 2. By the way, Pumped Up Kicks was another song in this series as well that was really great to hear a different rendition by. Loved that song, Pumped Up Kicks, by, I can't remember who plays it, but I like the Pumped Up Kicks in this show. Season 2, I'm so looking forward to, more than Season 1, because I had no anticipation for this show, but by the end, it was now one of my favorite shows. I'll put it in my top 10 favorite shows of all time list. Whew, so good. But you guys are going to have to let me know what you thought of Peacemaker Season 1 down below. If you checked it out, let me know. If you haven't, be sure to get permission. If you're in the age range to watch it, be sure to get permission first. Ask your parents or legal guardian, whoever you can ask to watch it. And as always, don't forget to let me know what you thought of the series down below. Subscribe to my channel, Lego211, for more reviews, vlogs, and other Lego stuff I have coming up. And as always, don't forget to like, follow me at Boba Fett Jedi Master down below. Instagram, Boba Fett Jedi Master, Instagram links down below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me. Don't forget to keep calm, play Lego. See you guys in the next review. Bye, everyone.